Hello, welcome to this tutorial video on how to use any landscape material with Shadow World. Today I'm going to use an asset I bought during the latest Black Friday marketplace sales, which is this asset from the store, Brushify SmartBrush. And I'm going to implement this landscape material inside Shadow World. So if you want to follow around, I'm going to use the latest version of Shadow World, which is a 3.363. So if you want to check that you have the same, the latest version installed, because I'm going to use some specific nodes that I implemented for this demonstration. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to look inside the Brushify data here. I'm going to go on this map. Let's get started. I'm gonna add Shadow World. So here we have a landscape, traditional landscape. Okay, I'm gonna place a Shadow World actor. Okay. Let's check the material. Okay, I'm gonna make a demo folder, demo mat. I'm gonna copy those materials. Okay, these materials have parent materials here, which I'm gonna copy as well. I'm gonna reparent. Reparent these materials. I'm not even sure I'm gonna need all of them. Anyway. Alright, let's name it Shadow World. SW or something. Just to not confuse with the original one. Okay. So this is the material. I'm not going to show all the details of the work of the person involved. A stream recording, yes, the stream is going to be available to watch as offline. I mean, on the stream is done, it's going to be available on the channel. So let's see. Okay, I have this material function here. I'm going to make a copy as well. Let's call it Shadow World. Tuck tuck. Great. I'm gonna replace it. So we don't completely screw up the original content. Okay, so let's see. I have a material which is made using material attributes. I have some material functions here. Material attributes. MF flow map flow here. Albedo combine. And you have this custom material. This custom material is using specific nodes for the Unreal Engine landscape. So with Shadow World, we don't have access to this the specific nodes because they are accessing the layers of the landscape, but we can completely reproduce the same thing. So right now, if we check on this material, we have a bunch of layers. We can analyze landscape as well. Using the landscape tool. If we check here, yes, you have a bunch of layers. So what will happen with traditional Unreal Engine landscape? You're going to be able to create all those layers individually, and you're able to paint them. So let's check what those layers are actually equal to. layer density. That's it. Quite sure. How does it work? I forgot. Forgot to showcase landscape layer. How do you just display? Damn. Mm-hmm. I'm missing something here. Layer debug. All right, here we go. Perfect. Okay, so we have a grass layer. Let's check. Okay, it's empty. We have a snow. Okay, snow is completely filled. Okay, so that's it. We have a snow layer which is completely filled. Okay, so we're gonna create. Right now, you can completely with Unreal Engine Landscape, you can paint these layers individually. With Shadow World, what we're gonna do is actually we're gonna create a Shadow World layer which is gonna be able to compute 4 of those layers at once. Instead of because when you're using actually Unreal Engine Landscape, all those layers are going to be baked down to textures at compile time. And Unreal Engine Landscape with Shadow World, we're going to compute them at runtime. So the less draw call we have, the better it is. So we're going to compute 4 of them at once. And right now you can't directly paint them, but that's something that could be available in the future. But we're going to manage 4 layers at once instead of have each layer completely independent, which you can paint like that. Because if we were doing 1 layer at once, we would have, for instance, 4 draw calls per layer. With Shadow World, we're going to create 1 layer which is going to actually manage 4 of this data. Okay, so we have grass. Let's see if I can check the. Okay, perfect. Let's get back to the selection mode. I'm gonna go inside the Shadow World. And in Shadow World, we're gonna create new layers of producers here. Okay, so we have beach, craters, desert, dune, forest, grass. So we're gonna make a new data producer. This data producer is gonna create, is gonna be stored inside RGBA 8, which means we have 4 layers of 8 bits. And what we're going to do here is actually we're going to name it with our landscape layer. So if I have grass, I have grass dry, I'm going to separate the name with some semicolon underscore. Grass dry, mud, and snow. Okay, great. I'm going to create in my demo a new material here. It's going to be shadow world layer. I'm going to call it default. Okay, it's a surface opaque unlit, and we're just going to be we're going to enable virtual field mesh. Great, and we can change material attributes. Awesome. So next we can look for the shadow world nodes here. We have a shadow world layer output. It's going to be able to store inside each of the 4 channels available. We're going to be able to store. We're going to be able to store grass. Grass. Going to be stored the grass dry, mud and snow. So this layer here is going to be stored in 4 channel f8 bits, and right now it's using the nearest filtering, which means that there is no interpolation between text cells in the texture here, in the render target. So what we're going to do is going to change it. We want actually some blending between the density here. For instance, if I go back to the landscape, check. If I want to paint snow here, if I want to remove some snow, I'm not sure I'm going to do that. Forgot the shortcut. Okay, I want to paint the value. Paint. Tool strengths. Use target value 0. Am I able to do that? No, okay, we can't. I'm going to paint something else on top of it. I'm going to paint grass. Awesome. Okay, so if now we check the weights. Awesome. That's exactly what I want to see. So if you see right now, there's some blending happening between where the grass is at 1 and where the grass is at 0. You don't have a harsh transition. You have a bilinear interpolation here, because that's exactly what you want. You want here the weight is as 1, and here the weight is as 0, and you want a smooth transition between the two. But in Shadow World, you're able to also use the layers to store IDs, and IDs can be, for instance, it can be 26 here, and 0, and I don't want to interpolate between the ID 26 and the ID 0 all the materials or all the information in between. I don't want to transition from 0 to 26 by going 1 to 3, etc. So you don't want any interpolation when you're storing IDs. So it's really interesting to use the nearest filtering. But right now, as we're going to emulate the landscape with the Shadow World, we're going to use the bilinear filtering in order to have the smooth transition in the information. Okay, so this layer is actually going to be able to generate 4 layers for grass. So here it's going to be using the bilinear filtering, so we're going to store weights. Alright. So with a Shadow World input, Shadow World output, we also the input here. We could use all the information provided by those nodes and generated by Shadow World. Right now, we're just gonna let it at default. I'm just gonna fill. So here we have grass dry, mud, snow. I'm just gonna fill the snow. So it's a snow. Let's make some comment here. Grass dry, mud and snow. Alright. So I'm just going to fill the snow layer at 1, exactly like it was by default on the landscape provided. Okay, so snow is now as at 1. I'm going to create a custom material for terrain. We're actually going to be using the same as this one, so the one we copied. Let's go back. Demo, and we created this material here. Alright, so to be able to use this material, we're going to need to change one setting here. We're going to need to use the use with virtual lit fill mesh. Okay, applied. Awesome. So now we can use it on our shadow world that I've hidden at the start of the video. Let's show it back. So I copied the material, I've enabled the virtual lit fill mesh. So now I'm going to use this material here. And it's looking terrible. There's nothing appearing. Alright, that's normal. We have a new layer here which is named grass, grass dry, etc. Let's check what it's actually looking like. I'm going to use a shadow world layer sample here. Layer sample, it's named grass, grass dry, mud, and inside the alpha we stored the snow weights. Let's check it's actually working properly. Okay, it's equal to 1 because inside the layer here, inside the layer we're generating was actually forced it to 1. And if we check the red channel, it's going to be equal to 0. Okay, awesome. So we have our 4 weights here. I'm going to put it back by default. Awesome. So we're going to go back to the material function I copied earlier. And as I told you, this material node is actually not relevant for anything else than Unreal Engine landscape. So we're going to create an equivalent here. It's a shadow world layer blend here. And I'm going to add the layer we created, which actually is storing and generating 4 layers at once. So I'm going to new layer input. The name is the name of the layer we provided. And we're going to use the first channel, the red channel. Okay, so the first channel is grass, it's in the name. I'm going to add the second entry for the green, for the blue, and for the alpha. Okay, we have 4 layers here. I'm gonna connect them. Grass, grass dirty, mud, and snow. Okay. I'm gonna go back here and do the same for the slope. Yes, we have grass, dirty, mud, and snow. And here we have the same for snow. We can actually do something different here, which it's only using the snow, so we can use the snow shadow world layer sample directly. Oh, okay. The name shadow world layer sample, and it's going to use the alpha. It's basically the same thing as when snow is equal to 1, you output this value. Okay, so it's basically doing this. Okay, it's compiling. Okay, so right now it's snow everywhere. So I noticed the tiling. The tiling is a bit off because it's using some scaling here. Let's check if we use the 8000, if it looked better. Yes, okay. Awesome. Where are we now? Okay. So we have our material running. Awesome. Now we're gonna use the brush. Here's some provided brush with the landscape. We're gonna copy them. So I'm gonna add let's add brush manager. It's a Shadow World brush manager. I select my landscape. I scroll to the Advanced tab. The Advanced tab, and I select a brush manager. Brush manager is going to allow us to drop brushes to interact with our landscape here. So landscape can be brushes can be components. Just dropping a default actor, I'm adding a 8-map brush, and I'm going to use one of the provided alpha brushes with the asset Brushify SmartBrush. Okay, so in my alpha, I select my 8-map brush component, I drop it in. I'm gonna scale it in width, in height too. Okay. So let's try to make it look like the original one. Okay. What happens if I hide the landscape? Okay, so right now I'm just using the shadow world. It's a bit too intense on the height. Let's reduce it. Okay, I'm going to do the same with the other brushes. I'm going to copy it a bunch of times. Let's use the same brushes. T article 2, T article 2, T article 3, T article 3. Okay. And play with the scale here. Is anything special I will need to start streaming UE5? Nothing special. Okay, I have the same brush, Awesome. So let's see what it looks like if I disable landscape. Okay. So this is the default landscape. this is Shadow World. Okay, we can even put it down a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the landscape directly. Okay, so now we don't have anything related to the landscape. We have a brush. Copy them. Rotate. Copy them, move them around. Okay. So let's see, right now we have our brushes. We have a world, we have a layer which is named grass, dry, etc. So now I'm going to tell the brushes to edit the layer they are related to. So brushes are actually going to say to the Shadow World terrain that underneath them they're going to have a specific layer value. So for instance, here I have this brush. I have this brush here. And I'm going to tell this brush to write inside the Shadow World that its grass, for instance, is equal to 1. So maybe we should have put something more interesting, like instead of grass, we could have put the desert. What kind of layer is this? We have beach, dunes, mud. Let's add another layer. And create a new one. It's a bilinear, and we're gonna use which one are we missing? Deserts, forests, beach. Dunes. Okay. So if now I go back to the material here, we have some new layer. We have 4 new layers we have available. I'm gonna add them. So first the red channel, the green channel, and the alpha. Okay, we have new layers. So desert, forest, beach. Okay, so let's see what's happening. Here I have this layer which has alpha to 1, and I have another layer which is equal to 0. Okay. So I'm gonna tell some brushes to change some channels. So I'm gonna remove the default value here. The default layer, which is actually writing snow everywhere, I'm gonna disable it and put it to 0. So now we have actually we are starting with a blank slate. Okay. I'm gonna tell some brushes here. All those brushes I'm gonna tell them to write inside the layer. Okay, I go back to default. I'm gonna tell them to write some weights inside, let's say, this layer here, grass, dry. So I pick some brush. You're gonna write inside the grass, dry, mud, snow. You're gonna write a weight, which is gonna follow the same, the value of the heat map. Actually, it's gonna same the value of the heat map. It's gonna put it to 1 inside which channel. So let's say I wanna put the snow channel to 1. I'm gonna tell it to write inside the alpha channel to 1. So this brush is gonna basically tell the terrain, when I have influence, this is snow. Okay, I'm gonna do the same here. So where's this? Let's put a brush which is close. Okay. So this brush is gonna have influence on weights inside these 4 layers. It's gonna follow the same map, and it's gonna put inside the alpha channel the snow weights. It's gonna put it to 1. Okay, so it's writing snow inside the material. And this one, let's say it's gonna check the dune or the desert here. Desert, I don't know how you say it. Okay, you're gonna write inside this layer the red channel. You're gonna follow the same red channel. Okay, why not? Let's make a beach here. This is the red, green, blue. Oh, I copied the wrong. So it's mud. No, I don't want mud. I don't want mud. I want this layer here. Okay. Okay, there's a couple brushes which have no influence. Let's make it snow at the center here. Okay, so we have brushes which are actually writing the underneath biome, and we can completely move them around. If I want the snow here, some snow influence. Okay, so there's some settings we can fine tune here to have some better tiling. What's happening? Anyway, okay, we can take a next picture. So right now we have the full material we're actually working on Shadow World. We can spend a lot of time tweaking the parameters for the actual tiling and everything, but you get the idea. See, there's some shadow casting issue here. I'm going to increase the range of shadow casting. And let's crank up the quality to take a nice picture. All right. Here we go. Right, so that's how to set up any material with Unreal Engine, with the Shadow World. Let's check some extra nodes. So here you have some layer sample, so you can do the same here with the Shadow World layer sample. Here I have the grass dry, etc. If I check the this one, now the first channel here, we can rename here. It's grass. This is grass dry. This is mud. This is snow. I can replace here. Can keep going. Okay, so this is to use the landscape grass. Okay, so we can actually do something completely different here. Slope normal. Okay, so actually this kind of data, typically here we actually, this material is actually providing the landscape shading and the grass spawning density. So what we're actually doing in Shadow World, this kind of data is actually generated not inside the material, but within producers here. So let's pick, for instance, let's say I want to spawn grass. Okay, I'm going to create a Shadow World spawnable. Which is going to spawn a landscape grass. Okay. This Shadow World spawnable is going to be inside the Shadow World biome. Shadow World, let's call it Brushify biome. Brushify. I'm gonna add the grass, and let's say I want the grass only to spawn where the grass biome is equal to 1. I'm going to create a simple M grass density. So as usual with Shadow World, everything is about default, unlit, virtual height fill mesh. Shadow World layer output. So here we're actually gonna output the density of the grass. I'm gonna copy the default spawner. Okay, so I have my Brushify biome, my grass. I could leave it empty and it will spawn grass everywhere. Spawnable, I select the Shadow World biome manager. And I add my Brushify biome now. Okay, awesome. If I go to the terrain, it's going to spawn grass everywhere. Density, okay, that's pretty low. Maybe I forgot. Okay, so right now my terrain is not generating any collision. So it's assumed that the terrain is actually an ocean, which is absolutely not the case. We're not doing an ocean surface, we're actually doing a terrain. Inside this grass, okay. Let's see some of the criteria. Max angle, scale range. Oh, the view distance. There's no view distance. So how far do we want to see our grass? Of course, much better. Okay, so let's put back the default grass. I don't know. Okay, so there's an issue with the transitioning of the grass right now. Let's close everything. So you have an issue with the LED transition, with LED distance. An issue with the LED, so I need to look into this. Let's go straight to nanite. I'm gonna replace this with nanite mesh. I have no idea if it's gonna perform well. Okay. So that's nanite meshed right now. Yeah, performance aren't great. Maybe that's too much grass. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to the shadow world default provided biome here. I have a couple of assets. Let's see, I have the grass, close, grass distance, yeah, some trees. Okay, so right now it's actually doesn't spawn everywhere. That's a lot of night mesh. Anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it to it. We've implemented a completely default landscape material, which was made for landscape into Shadow World, and we're using multi biomes, and we can spawn asset anywhere. We could use the weights, like the reference map. We could use the weights of different biomes to spawn grass only on the grass biome, and etc. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Underwater tree. You're right. Okay, let's just fix this for the sake of the video. Let's check which is the height here. It's so weird. I think it's from the material. This is weird artifact. Okay. So it looks like the sea level is around here. It's this height. Let's remove all the trees under this height.